Hi, fantasy book lovers, TGIF. This is Thank Gods It's Fantasy Podcast. We are Kayla, Veronica, and Bryanna, three best friends who love talking about all things books. From the romance, the conflict, and of course, morally gray men. Every 2 weeks, we will be getting together to talk about our theories, opinions, and reviews of our current read. Please read along, join in, and be one of our book besties too. Welcome to our show. Thanks for joining us. In this episode, we will be discussing Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Russ. This is the second and final book in the Letters of Enchantment duology. Before we start, we would like to announce a disclaimer that many of the things we discuss might be more suitable for mature audiences. We are all adults here, so if explicit language or content is not for you, then turn back while you still can. All right, guys, so we jump into this book. It's been 2 weeks since the attack that we ended with in the last book, and we kind of see Iris back at the Ink Tribune with Addie and Helena, which I was kind of curious to see where exactly we were going to pick up after the last one, because they really kind of just left it open-ended. So I was glad to see her back in Oath, personally, at least to start.
I was like, I don't know about you guys, but I was a little taken aback that she was just like back at work and back to normal and just living with Forrest and trying to basically like appease him more than anyone, like keep him happy and not upset and whatever. I mean, I thought that she would just be like, bye, going to find him.
But she made a promise to her brother.
I know, but she also made a vow to her husband,
who she went to go back and look for, and he wasn't there.
I know, but I just feel like I would be like a little more relentless. I don't know. It felt like so back to normal. I don't know.
Like, I think it was hard, though, because she really didn't know exactly what had happened to him to, like, even know where to go, like, to find him. Yeah. I think that was part of it. Like, she still needed more information to then be able to go into motion, because obviously, as she does find things out, she fucks shit up again, you know? Like, she goes back to, like, her normal antics. So I really feel like it was, okay, back to normal until I have more information and then do with that what she needed to do at that point.
Yeah. And I feel like some people deal with grief differently, right? Some people are in denial for a long time. And so that could have been, like, her way of dealing with the loss of Roman, is her just trying to move on, and not really move on, because I really don't think that she had moved on in her heart, because anyway, but then she had to take care of her brother because her brother kept bleeding all over the place and she wanted him to see a doctor or something.
I think
everyone deals with it differently.
I was just bitter with Forrest, I think, still. I was like, you forgave him way too quick. I would be so mad at him still for so long.
Yeah.
I think that bothered me.
Yeah, but I think internally she was still struggling with it a little bit, but at the same time she really just saw how, like, messed up he still was. So I think seeing that helped to some degree, but she was still kind of skeptical of him, and she thought he was, like, following her initially, like, to make sure she wasn't, like, gonna leave.
Yeah.
That was so sad. I was like, man, I can't imagine my brother needing to follow me to make sure I just don't leave him. Like, that's so sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then, boom, surprise, Roman is alive and he's writing for the Gazette again, which that was a fun way to bring him back, quite frankly.
That shocked me. I did not think that he'd be writing for the Gazette. I thought he would just be writing something, but I don't know who I thought he'd be writing for, but it did shock me that it was for the Gazette.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Dacre definitely had some hands in that newspaper more than we even thought. I mean, we already thought there was some hands there, but I don't know that I necessarily thought it was Dacre full on, like, here you go, you're writing this for me, actually.
I don't think it was until then, though, because it was kind of, it sounded like it was Val showed up with Roman's letter and was like, and here you go, and this is what you're doing now.
And he could not post it, right? Because This is from Dacre. This is like going to get you the headlines. This is going to get you to sell the papers.
True.
People want to know. People love drama. So anything like that.
Well, and the Chancellor was involved, so.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like the Chancellor was kind of messing with it more so beforehand, but.
Chancellor sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't have to keep worrying about him. So.
Right.
La-ti-da.
Yes, he's writing for the Gazette, and he doesn't remember who he is. Nothing.
That was so sad.
It was so sad. But he was having like little glimpses, right? He had like little feelings. And then when he was brought the 2 typewriters, his and Iris's, and he just had that feeling. He's like, this one is mine. I know it. But this one makes me feel some type of way.
But he still picked his because he thought it was like a test.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, do you think...
Okay, but what happened to his?
Do you think Shane switched it?
I want to know what happened to his.
I think Shane switched it. I think Shane switched it.
Yeah.
And just got 100%. rid of it.
But you know what I thought this entire time? I thought this entire time that Dacre was going to have the 3rd one and just be reading all of their messages, because every message that's sent is sent to Bull. So I was like, oh, we're going to get to the end, and Dacre's going to know everything that they've said to each other, because he's just going to have the other one hanging out in another room, just reading every single letter that was passed between them.
See, and I just think, thankfully, he was blissfully unaware, and they really did destroy that other one, and it was Shane who swapped it, because I think he picked up on, like, whatever... reaction he had to it and was like, oh, I've got to switch these.
Yeah.
And like, I really think he had more in play early on than we even thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
what I think.
That was a big plot hole.
Interesting character.
Of like where that one went. Because they didn't explicitly.
I would like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I definitely called the fact she was going to go steal one from the museum. No, I don't even think I said it in the last podcast. I think I said it right before we started filming. I was like, oh, she could steal it from the museum. Like, and Veronica was like, we need to start filming. I fucking called it. I feel so proud of myself. I never called anything. I felt very proud of myself. As soon as I read that, I was like, did I predict something?
You did.
Good job.
I had such a proud moment. I really thought she was going to, and so as soon as it happened, I was like, already? We're already doing it. Thank God. Thank God. I needed them to communicate.
I love it.
Well, it just like, how else? How else were they going to chat? Like, it had to be that, I felt like.
I know.
Yeah, but then that showed that Iris wasn't just over him. Like, she still wrote him a letter, and he found it. Like, she's like, I still have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I had no question of her being like over him. I don't think that was ever like a part of it. I just think, I don't know, I thought it was interesting that it was kind of the first book, but in reverse. Like, now he doesn't know who she is, but she knows who he is, and the way that she's answering, like, it was literally the first book, but just flipped, which was, I thought, kind of a fun way to go about it.
I agree. I really loved that the girls were so willing to just break into this museum with her.
I know, she really didn't question.
Can I appreciate us?
She was like, okay.
Best friends right there. We gotta break in? Okay. Well, and then even like
because
Grindle or whatever was like,
Addie.
okay. Yeah. I was like, all right, we're just doing it. Like, love that. And then I died when they happened to see the graveyard people and didn't realize who they were and thought they were also breaking in. I was like, why would you think there's another heist going on? I died at that logic. I was like,
the same thing. I think that's where my mind would have went, like people in masks walking below me. But I also love that she was just like hanging there, like suspended between the tree and the museum, just like, whoop, whoop. Hopefully they don't see me.
Man, you know that's hard.
Was so funny. Yes. Oh my God. I cannot imagine trying to do that.
No.
God bless.
Not even a little bit.
Yes, but yeah, that whole heist scene, I died a little bit. They pulled it off great.
I know.
Thank God.
They really did.
But yeah, so Roman gets his first letter. has no idea who it is. It asks those, 3 questions, and he's like, am I supposed to know these answers?
But the thing is, he didn't get his first letter until he wrote his first article for the Gazette, and it said his name.
Yes.
And then that's when I was just like, holy shit, I need to get a hold of a typewriter. And then that's when they go steal the shit, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
she knew he was alive for sure
100%.
then. Because before that, she really didn't know. Like, she knew that he was taken. But so sad, like,
which is why,
sending that first one, and Forrest kept telling her, like, he's not going to remember. He's not going to know, because obviously Forrest has been there and lived through that. And when she, like, finally got the confirmation that he didn't know, I was like,
I know.
Like, we all knew it was coming, but...
I know, just imagine the heartbreak.
I know. Well, and then even the conversations they still had before he remembered, like, it was true. Again, back to book 1, where you're just like, oh, they're like falling in love again. And it was so interesting to watch him contemplate, like, keeping it a secret and, like, going back and forth on that. And then I did love that she signed it Elizabeth. I thought that was very cute that she went with her middle name. I was like, okay, we get it. Yeah. You're really playing it up this time.
It kind of reminded me of The Notebook, you guys. I don't like the movie or The Notebook, where the guy's reading, like, their story to her, and she just, like, she's got dementia, so she can't remember, right? And so then she gets, but then, like, as they tell the story, that'll, like, it clicks. It clicks right in. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's who I am. So that's why I'm gonna cry. It's so sad.
I know. It did kind of have that vibe. I get what you're saying there. Like, ugh.
V, I laughed.
Well, and then
he said like 3 times in this book that he was seeing things in sepia, and I was like, oh my god, V called it.
Yes, he did! Yes, he did!
He said it so many times, and every time I was like, V.
Veronica's right along with you, bud.
That's also how I saw it.
Oh my god, you're so funny.
That's the only thing I got right.
Was it right after he got the first letter that he dreams of her? Yeah, that's what my peeve is with you. Dacre was bad to the very end. No redeeming qualities, in my opinion.
Yeah, no.
Nothing
I'm too much of a romantic person. I was like, I have to find, like, the silver lining in this. Nothing can't be terrible.
No.
But I forgot, this is supposed to be just a historical fiction with a touch of fantasy in it. I was very disappointed.
Horrible.
Yep.
To the very end.
Yep, the worst.
I kept hoping, though. And then when Kayla said that thing that said, oh, Veronica might be right. Girl, the video that I was like, I was screaming. I almost sent it, but then you're like, oh, wrong one. I'm like, thank God I didn't send that, because I would have been a fucking fool.
I know, but also, like, how is there, I mean, is that a common name? Like, just so happens to be a Dacre in another, it must be a common name.
I mean, you know how these,
I know,
fantasy names go. I feel like there's enough of an overlap, but
and stuff. Yeah.
No redeeming qualities to be had.
Dacre was not good.
Nope.
He was just...
And, like, Enva was at least semi-good, I would say. I don't think she was bad. I don't think she was super good. I think she tried her best.
She tried her best.
At least she had an explanation for her. Like, her explanation for the wrong things she did made a lot more sense than his. I kept waiting for her to, like, turn at the end, though. I really thought as soon as he was out of the way, she was going to be like, oh, what up? This is my town now.
I really think she was a decent.
I think she was too. Divine. But then they kept talking about, like, the new chancellor being a woman. I was like, Enva took over.
Is it her?
It's Enva. But it wasn't. At least not as far as we know. She's just chilling in cafes. Yeah. But I really thought that was what it was going to be. I really thought that it was going to turn again.
I'm just glad Dacre wasn't good, or I was really going to have some.
I was waiting for that phone call. I'm like, she's not going to call me until after she knows I'm done with this book, which I just got done like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, and I didn't call you.
I know.
And you knew he wasn't good.
I know.
You're like, oh, I'm not getting that phone call.
Nope.
So, was it right after the letter, pretty much, that he then dreamed about Iris for the first time. I feel like it was pretty quick after.
It was pretty quick after. I don't think it was after the first one. I think it was...
Can't remember. It was like pretty quick. I want to say it was within days. I don't think it was a real big gap.
But he still fell in love with her words, you guys. It's still like captured him.
But I'm also glad that he put 2 and 2 together like immediately. There was no like, oh, I'm in love with 2 women kind of thing, kind of like what she went through. I was like, okay. Yeah. I'm glad that you didn't find out that Iris is your wife and then be like, but I love Elizabeth. Like, it clicked. You knew. I mean, granted, I guess his memories all came back pretty instantly when they touched. But
he wasn't mad at her. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, it was pretty quick after he stumbled upon her in that house.
I know.
That whole thing was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I just love that, of course, we're skipping a little bit. He warns her that, what was the city
Hawkshire?
That they were about to... Yeah, they were going to take over Hawkshire, bomb it, or they were just coming.
Like, they were going to take it by force, like they did with...
going there because that's where the last Enva troops were.
Like they did with Avalon.
Correct. So I just love that he sends that to her, and her knee gut reaction is, must go there immediately. I was like, damn, this girl be wild. She's like, all right, I need you to take me here, even though you're not supposed to take me here, which I freaking Tobias.
I love Tobias.
Yes, Tobias Bexley.
I love Tobias.
I loved him so much.
I can imagine them in their little goggles, like chugging along in the car.
I know, and I just like, I'm, especially with the way he drove, I was like, oh,
I know.
God. I was like, I just pictured him speeding so fast.
Same. And the fact that they had
Did I Google how fast roadsters actually go? Yes, I did. And I did not find a clear answer because some of them are like 120 miles per hour. I'm like, I don't think that was it.
Yeah,
but then a lot of people are like,
his was also
30
magical.
miles.
His was magical, though. I think his fucking hauled ass.
But why did they only have ropes to hold on to?
I thought it was.
Like in front of them.
But I didn't have seatbelts yet.
I know, but I was like, I'm just imagining them. Like, he's going so fast, whipping around these corners. They've got these little ropes that they're like it reminds me of like bull riding. Like, you've got your little rope that you're holding on to while you're being around. Nope.
I'm dead.
Bull rope.
I thought it was magical in some way, or was it just
didn't think
super
it was
modified?
I thought it was just.
I think it was super modified.
Yeah.
Like he.
Okay, I was like, I thought there was something to it, like it, like made it more exceptional than a normal one. But maybe he had just.
I think it's him.
Yeah.
But I love
because that's why he does the post running is because it makes the money to pay for all
his racing,
petrol, and petrol.
The racing.
I feel like Peppa Pig.
Him and Addie.
Petrol.
I love the little
I love
little things that she just like placed in there all the way through. I loved that.
Yeah,
they were very good to me, and I loved like Iris's little, because we're like seeing it through her eyes. I loved her little thoughts about it, which was like, just give him a moment. Like, it was just very cute and innocent, and I did love seeing that relationship.
She's like looking at them like, oh, that's cute. They're still they're getting to know each other.
But also like,
you're still new.
You know, I'm like,
you had sex 2 weeks ago for the first time ever. What do you know? You know nothing yet.
Is she even 20 yet? Like,
no,
I mean, she's still
18.
a baby.
She's 18.
He's not even 20. He's 19.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what makes it even funnier. Is she was just like, oh, such sweet innocent moments. I'm like,
well, and Addie's like 22. Addie's older. She's like 22, 23 or something like that. So I'm like, girl.
Literally died every time she talked about them. I was like,
same as Marisol, acting like she's a grandma when she's 33 years old.
I know.
Like, ma'am, don't age me like that. Don't do that to me.
Speaking of Marisol, Lieutenant Keegan being like the prison ward, essentially, at wherever they went.
Brigadier Keegan.
Yeah.
I know.
I
Her being the big boss at that point. Yeah. I loved her.
I love that, but I felt like she
I
was
thought
a little... I was like, Iris being like, you probably don't remember me. I'm like, ma'am, you were with her 2 weeks ago and she resided over your wedding. First of all, that was a weird statement. Second of all, she was like kind of standoffish with her, which I feel like they had some moments in Avalon Bluff before they left, and I don't know.
I agree. I really just think so much had happened in those 2 weeks already. I mean, obviously a lot of shit had gone down. She's now overseeing the rest of what little is left of his army. I think she was the one who ended up being chancellor.
That's where my mind went. I went between the two of them, but I feel like it makes the most sense and it would have been her.
Especially with, again, skipping ahead, how it ended with the graveyard people. Like, the way she cut it, it was like, first off, this is not how we should... Like, she just commanded such a presence. I was like, if anyone could get into that role and, again, pass these graveyard people up, basically, because at that point they were kind of ruling the city, I felt like it would be her.
Well, and they talked about...
So I was hopeful.
Yeah. They talked about her presence a lot, too, and how she commanded people's attention and had, like an authoritative presence, and just reading out like the few people that got sentenced or whatnot, they were pretty reasonable sentencing. Like, no one was being let off for like the horrible things that they had done, and so that felt like someone knowledgeable was handing those sentencings down.
But yeah, they shouldn't just be shooting people.
No.
That was quite horrific at the end. I can't say I was shocked based off how the graveyard had been acting up to that point. But man, I was like, whoa, this isn't any better. We finally got over this bombing for them to just be like, all right, line everyone up. You're all dying. Like, I was like, whoa, okay.
Let's just kill more people.
Especially because I feel like it had to have been somewhat well-known knowledge at that point that Dacre takes people and puts them...
I really don't think it was.
You don't think so?
I don't think people knew.
Because, like, those people are innocent. Like a good chunk of them are all innocent and taken against their will.
They don't remember. And then if they started to remember and started to rebel, they got their memories swiped again. Or they got re-healed.
Well, I mean, even at the end when Roman's trying to help that one kid out, he was like, he got trapped into this too, because he was like coughing up blood. He had clearly been in gas himself. I was like, man, like that's probably most of them. That's why it was so sad when they were just like lining them up and shooting. I was like, how many of these people actually willingly signed up for this army? I just don't imagine it was really that many. Like, I'm sure there were some, don't get me wrong, but it seemed like a lot of them were not. Like, I think we heard a lot of people, well, let people get hurt and then healed them.
Yeah.
Which, God, that whole thing really irks me also.
Yeah.
A lot of feelings about that. I did find it interesting that, because I think we found out from Shane that not everyone forgets when they're healed. Some of them still remember, which it seemed like, based off how the end went, that Enva was the one helping them retain their memory. Was that how you guys perceived it also, or was it just...
I perceived it as people that were, like, actually loyal to Dacre and actually kind of believed in his cause. So, like, if they came willingly and were healed willingly or really did believe in what he was doing, it seemed like they retained their memories because he wasn't forcing them to be a soldier. They wanted to be there.
Which is why Shane retained his, is he came willingly, even though he was covertly... Okay.
He was a mole the whole time.
Because it sounded like Enva helped sometimes with like, obviously helped with Roman, but I thought she had made a comment about helping in some degree to that. I couldn't remember how exactly she worded it.
Yeah.
But that makes sense too. I'm sure the ones that came willingly didn't need their memories wiped.
The whole getaway with Tobias and Addie.
Vows and 10.
With the hounds. That was wild.
when the hounds are like almost faster than the car, and then thank goodness they don't have endurance.
I know, which feels weird.
But even his little maneuver that he had to do where he like ran over one's leg or whatever, I was like, y'all wild. He's like, just trust me. And I was like, oh God, what is he doing? And then when he came to a freaking halt, I was like, oh my God.
Oh, I was like, run him over.
Slowing down
run him over. Run him over.
Yeah. It comes to a dead stop. I was like, oh my God, y'all wild.
I was like, he's gonna get him.
He's like, just trust me. I'm like, no, I just met you. Go faster.
But I really do think they trusted him. Like, he had kind of proven himself already, even in that small. Yeah, I know. They're like, well, and Addie's just like, I love you.
She's a crush.
Yeah.
I know. But he also, like, clearly cared about those girls, even though, like, that was a job to him. Like, he was just so good about, like, okay, if something happens to me, you guys need to do this. Okay. He was very good about communicating with, you know, take care of your freaking selves. Like, get yourselves out of here. I'll do what I can to protect you guys. Like, he was just very sweet and all of that. I think I would have trusted him too, because he seemed to have really good intention.
Yeah. Well, even Marisol, like, kind of took her under her wing, because when they came back and saw them again towards the end or whatever, she embraced him just like she did the girls. So, and I mean, same as Roman. She has her little chicks she takes under her wing.
Her little 33-year-old self, just like, come here, my baby.
Just collecting babies.
Did you guys find it interesting whenever Dacre was talking about, like, his power, like his healing power, how being a god, his power was not important, or it wasn't like something that people wanted? And same thing with his sister, like, who needs dreams? Like, we don't care. But their power is more, not effective, but dangerous, could potentially do more things for humans. And so I thought that was kind of interesting how they were considered like the lowers as far as gods and stuff like that.
Yeah, but then he still wanted to go to the grave. That's what was interesting.
Well, maybe he had a complex because he wasn't one of the, like, really powerful gods to begin with, because he said, like, yeah, their powers were kind of insignificant compared to some of the other gods that had lived and died, but they're the only ones left. So now he, you know, took over as the main underling god or whatever. But it's probably why he wanted.
And Eva played him for a fool. Like, when she put him down and made him take those long naps, like, yeah, I'm gonna go fuck some shit up.
His
I'm gonna
whole
go
court.
steal someone's power, and I'm gonna show her. Yep. Then he was gonna go kill one of the siblings or whatever.
I did love finding out she had already killed all of them, like, basically from the get-go. I was like, all right, we've pretended to be buried this whole time. That was wild to find out. And
yeah,
of course,
but she also tricked the old king, the Alzane king or whatever.
Yes.
And made him think that everyone was dead except for her, and that she was the only one living. But then she had to take a vow, and she got stuck in oaths.
Yeah, I can't believe she made that vow.
Yeah, I did find it interesting, like, that we finally found out why she was trapped this whole time, because we were all just like, what the heck is she doing? And then to also find out that when she stole, you know, these other powers, that it, like, severely weakened her own power, and then it even deformed her hands. I was like, okay. It makes a little more sense why you've been struggling this whole time, because we're all just like, girl, why are you helping? And now it's like, oh, you're literally trapped and your power's weak now. Okay.
That's not even that. She made a vow not to hurt him. Like, she made a vow to, like, not take away his immortality. So she couldn't, right? There's no way she could even do anything. So someone else had to do it for her. With all the other gods killed, there was no one else to do it. And the only way for a god to stay dead is to have a human do it.
I know. Well, and I found it interesting that she made that vow to him, but he did not make it to her. And, like, she seemed okay with that, which I thought was interesting. I was like, no, I want a mutual vow here, actually. Like, if I
wrote their own vows.
Yeah. She, like, took it as, like, a cultural.
No, you're addendum.
Like, oh, this must be the underling culture. It's fine. We're Skywards. We're a little different. We just make better vows.
I would have been very distrusting of that, personally. I would have been like, no.
Especially since it wasn't a love marriage, you know? Like, it was kind of like, yeah, okay.
But it seemed like it was for him.
I'll go down there
or
with you.
at least like a marriage of infatuation.
He was infatuated. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if he was in love.
But she kept saying, like, as soon as that, like, wears off, he's going to kill her. And I was like, you ain't wrong.
He
man.
tried.
I do not think you were. I know. Oh, that was wild. I did love also finding out that it was Imba that was appearing in Iris's dreams as her mom, which
I know.
I kind of had a feeling, but I did like that, like, that's how it went about. Because I do feel like it almost helped her mourn her mom a little bit too, like being able to have these positive moments again with her mom. And then, of course, that's how she also showed her the song, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But they did. There was many sweet dream moments with her mom that I was like, oh.
In the diner. And oh my gosh.
Yeah. They were very cute. I liked them.
I didn't even pick up on the fact that Addie was having the same dreams until she like expressive she said that. She was like, oh yeah, I dreamed of that too. I was like, oh, I feel like you have made mentions of like certain things like that throughout that I just didn't even think about it. I was like, oh, Enva. No, it makes sense.
No, as soon as they had because it was like when they were talking about the lullaby that I had picked up that she had also had dreams about it, I think, at that point. Like, I was like, oh, not the only one. Okay. And then, yes, obviously, Emma was like, yes, I was in your dreams. I was in Addie's dreams. I was in Boar's dreams. I kind of messed with Roman a little bit, but not quite dreams. I was like, damn.
Like,
she's just like listing them off.
Just dipping her fingers into all of that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, thank God that power was doing something.
Well, thank goodness Addie could even
so
play a violin as well as she could. Right?
Yeah.
That she still practiced.
I just love
Addie.
Addie.
In the basement or wherever she was at.
I had some weird visions in my head picturing that whole scene with her with Dacre. Like, him chasing after her. I pictured her like as she's going. I know it says that she stopped, but I did not picture her stopping. I just pictured her running and trying to play.
Well, especially since she said that she was going to learn this lullaby forwards and backwards so she can play it in the dark, so she can play it while she was moving.
That's why.
Like,
that's totally why.
That's yes, I get that. Because
picture her like darting between these sulfur ponds, like with him chasing after her.
Yeah. No, but it reminds me of the violinist that's like really popular. She's been really popular.
Yes, I was just thinking that. Oh, what's her name? She's wonderful.
She's great.
Yeah, I also randomly picture. I don't know where. You know, I was also picturing her as she was violining, running like Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean, like knees up running. I don't know why.
That is hilarious. I love your little movie you played.
It was weird.
It was
a weird movie this time, guys.
That is hilarious. It is Lindsay Sterling we're thinking of.
Yes.
My movie was not quite that entertaining. I mean, it was still entertaining in my brain, but it was not that entertaining. And I actually did picture her stopping because it seemed like they were in a lot closer proximity, and at least in my mind movie, that I thought she had to stop. And then obviously it said she stopped, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. Because I was just like, how? How is this happening? And then I found it interesting that we were basically deaf to what was going on because her ears were filled with wax. Like, she was basically just interpreting what she was seeing, and I was just like, and so in my mind movie, it's silent. And so
it was silent for me.
Made it more comical in my brain, where I was just like, oh God, there's just a lot happening, but I can't hear anything.
It's like when we're trying to get our headsets and our mics to work prior to our episodes, and I'm like, what? Can you hear me?
Yep.
The struggle we have, you guys, every time we think we have it set.
Oh my God.
Still.
It's a struggle.
One of these days we'll be fine.
I don't know. At this point, I'm just going to expect it every time. And it's a different one of us every single time. It's not just one. It's usually like two of us. It's almost always me.
Yeah.
And then someone else. Because this thing right here.
You're not. I know. You really do.
It's great. It's great. But but it's also the worst.
Yeah. But then I do love that Imba used one of her new powers to distract him at the end.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
The illusion
And
power?
he was like, well, yeah, and he like, I mean, he was about to freaking kill Iris at that point. She was like freaking, and then he sees Imba and is like, okay, let me go. Freaking walk over.
I know.
I was like,
I could
okay,
not,
wow.
I could not. I guess I just didn't understand. He saw her. Was he like, oh my God, there she is? Like, you've been who I've been looking for. Or like, or was it like,
it was like, I'm
gonna
gonna murder you.
Kill you.
I'm gonna murder you.
I think it was surprise initially that she was like, that he was seeing her. And so there was like maybe that knee gut, but then it very quickly, I thought, transformed into, I'm going to do the same thing I was doing to Iris to you now.
I also love that she added to her illusion that she was in her wedding dress. So like she really laid it on thick. Like, let me present to you exactly how I looked when you married me.
When you said you loved me.
I did love that. I know. Only for him to be lulled to sleep by Addie and then murdered by Iris, which that felt then almost too easy at that point.
Yes, I was very disappointed with that. It was very anticlimactic for me.
Yes, it was.
I agree. I felt it was too easy. I felt like it could have been dragged out a little more, or it could have been
like Val's death.
No,
Val's death was like good to me.
Yeah,
it was good.
Val's death was good. I did enjoy that one. But yeah, no, that one felt like he just like fell asleep, and
you're like, that's it.
She put his head off,
and
I
just
was
went,
like,
shoot, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Which I know was the goal, but it still felt too easy.
Yeah, they literally were down there for like 10 minutes and was like, and all right, here's his head. I'm gonna go walk around town with it, you know, dripping some gold all over.
Yeah, that's weird. I would have just left it.
Like Nesta.
Well, and like we'd left all these crumbs, but then we don't actually really need these crumbs. Like, it was just, that almost felt rushed.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was just ready to be like, to kill him when she was writing it or something. Like, it did. It felt too rushed. I think it could have been drawn out a little bit more personally.
Well, and I'm wondering, like, was she thinking she was going to do more with it or something? Because she says, Iris even says that she has this feeling of like foreboding, like this isn't over and something's going to happen. And then nothing does. That's why I thought that Emma was going to do something, or the graveyard people, whatever, were going to do something, but more than what they did. Like, the fight was not over.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we're meant to think that Dacre's going to be that, you know, climax of all of it and then be done, but really something else is going to happen. I thought we were going to get a Sarah J. Maas, like...
Yeah, because...
but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
We really were just done.
Because, like, then... Like, yes, the graveyard was brutal, but, like, not brutal enough to be, like, something else is gonna occur.
Like a battle.
To have that level of ominous almost. No, like they were just lining them up and brutally murdering them, which again, horrific. And maybe it was just like having this inkling that Roman was in the line. Like maybe that's more what we're supposed to pick up on, is she had this icky feeling because her man was in harm's way. Because they seem to have some sort of bond there. But yeah, it did. It felt a little anticlimactic at that point.
It was a big build-up. And then also, I'm just like, all this is going down. You know that this is all going to happen. And Keegan's forces are just, like, chilling out on the outskirts, watching it happen. Like a whole last little bit of an army. I mean, because I feel like at that point, the Chancellor was already dead or dying, whatever. Like, they wouldn't have been barred getting in.
Other than by the graveyard, I think the graveyard still would have given him a hard time.
But, like, do they have a whole army?
I don't know that I don't know how many there actually were in the graveyard. It seemed like they had a decent number to wrangle up basically most of what was like, because Dacre's army I don't feel like was tiny by any means to like be able to round them up and then just like
that's true,
like shoot them all. I was like, there's got to be at least a decent amount. But then, okay, even leading up to this point, the whole bombing situation, that whole thing was wild. Like, the fact that Dacre was trying to recruit her and then forces her to write this, like, FYI, gonna bomb the South Side tomorrow. Come join me and or die. And then I she was so smart to then sneakily put in the other newspaper. These are the safe spots. I'm glad Roman had been able to tell her before that, like, ley lines, safe spots. But I even enjoyed almost reading all of the chaoticness of that more than the actual final battle. Like, that was more intense to me. Like, everything was panicked. We were getting all these different points of view. Oh shit. Like, because everyone was in such disarray at that point that I felt like the whole bombing was way more interesting to read than the actual final battle. Like, everyone was so panicked. I loved, like, how much of a hard time they had with finding a safe spot. That was intense because, of course, the house they went to, I don't know if they boarded up, like, that's where they were staying, or if they went off to be, I couldn't figure out which one they were alluding to. Did they go off to join
I get that.
the north side, or did they just board up?
I got the impression they went north.
Like,
I thought they just boarded up and said nobody else is coming in here.
That's possible too, for sure.
And I couldn't tell which one it was. And then, like, the museum being so packed that, like, people couldn't fit in. I was like, I'm picturing this huge museum, which obviously limited buildings. I get that. But I was just like, oh my God, it's already full. Like, holy shit. Why didn't we leave sooner, guys? Maybe we should have left.
I know, your exes were up all
like,
night long. You were awake all night long.
Yeah.
Tobias left.
We didn't want to leave a little earlier. Yeah. Well, and then I'm glad they obviously managed upon the cafe, which I like that that's where they ended up. I loved the workers who were still there, just like defiant, like,
have some coffee, courtesy of Enva.
Well, and then Enva was there, so
blueberry scones. I know. I loved that. That was like a spot for her, like that we reveal later on. But I was just like, oh, I love that this is where they ended up. And then, and then of course Forrest is going to get Sarah, and then freaking Tobias has to go and get his. I was just like, ah. I was just like, I felt so flustered reading that whole section. And then, of course, the girls then, like, needing to say their quick goodbyes and go to the underworld and all that. I was like, that was way more intense for me than the final battle.
Yeah, it really was.
I just enjoyed that way more. Yes. And then, but also very sad.
Even the chaos of the original bombing for the assassination attempt on Dacre was, like, more intense than that.
Yes.
I mean, Roman is
thank goodness
puking.
that guy stepped in front of Iris.
Like, Roman gets taken, he's puking all over himself the entire ride back. Like, that guy steps in front of Iris, and then her and Dacre make eye contact at the end. Everybody else is dead. All these people that had been...
That's intense.
Yeah, all these people that had been around Dacre this whole time, they're all dead. Everyone Roman was with. The Chancellor is dying. Like, that was wild. That should have been when he died.
But then also, I know, because that would have been more interesting. But then I found it interesting. Shane was like, "You could have prevented this." I was like, "Damn, okay." Like, he tried, bud. Like, he tried to find the guy.
Your guy wasn't
find
there,
him.
asshole.
Well, like, he couldn't find him. He looked pretty much that whole time. I felt like. And never saw him, and I was just like, let's not put all the blame on him.
Do you think his
calm down?
Do you think his guy was the kid's man? Because he worked for Graveyard and he was there, and I think he was there to get Roman, but he knew what was going to happen, and he got Roman out because he's a part of Graveyard. So what if he was the guy?
No, I think he was separate.
Because he didn't recognize him.
When they cut to the graveyard later, when they're doing the mass shooting or whatever, one of the guys steps forward and is wearing the
the sea anemone.
That, like,
anemone.
But there was a difference. All of them were wearing the red anemone, but he was wearing a white and a red anemone.
One.
But they showed a guy before that was just wearing a red one.
Oh. No, I see, and I made it to be that last guy in the lineup. Like, that was who was supposed to find out, and we just never found him in the initial. Because I don't think it was the same as the Kits guy. Because he seemed very big on just protecting Roman, which
he took his protecting
that.
the Kit family pretty seriously.
Seriously. Mm-hmm.
I know, because I loved how he hunted out Iris and was like, we've got to prove his innocence. Do you have anything?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, yes, sir. Let's save him.
Well, I like the fact that when he, in the beginning, when he had been following her, because she thought that it was her brother, but he had been following her, and he like knew where she worked and stuff like that, like looking up all this information. He's like, here, I have something from my associate or whatever. Here's a bunch of money. Here you go. Just annul your wedding, your marriage, and you will live comfortably for the rest of your life.
Wild.
And she's like, fuck you. I don't want it. Here you go.
Yep. Money meant nothing to her. Like, yes, she worked very hard for it, but like it really didn't hold a lot of meaning to her. So I was just like,
she could live on nothing.
Y'all got the wrong girl. Yes. And like at that point they were really doing okay. It wasn't like she was hurting because Forrest had gotten a job. She still had her, like, they were doing fine.
But anyways, we find out that Roman's dad isn't as big of a dick. He's still a dick. As big of a dick as we all thought he was. He was doing, like, he thought he was doing what he could to save his family by doing the wrong thing. So two wrongs don't make a right kind of situation.
Because I feel like he's just dipping his toes either way so that it doesn't matter. Like, either way it goes, he's going to still be...
That's what I said. He was two wrongs don't make a right. He just wants his family to be safe. He didn't want Roman to get more hurt. He was still trying to protect him. Go hide.
He had him go hide. I'll give him that. He got a little redeeming for having him go hide.
I was going to say, towards the end, it seemed like he actually wanted to protect his family. Early on, it seemed more about power. So I don't know if it necessarily started as this altruistic, I want to save my family, or if it really was, I just want more power and, oh shit, I've dipped my toes in too many bad places and now I'm just trying to like get out of this unscathed with my family in peace. I don't know. I still question his initial intention.
But he asked Roman when he saw him, he's like, is he dead? So clearly he was like over, like...
Yeah, but they said very specifically he was playing both sides so that if Graveyard won, he was helping them. If Dacre won, he was helping him. So either way, whoever won, he didn't really take Eva into account. He was coming out on top. So I think us seeing like him, you know, sending the women to the West Wing so that they're away from the soldiers, and him kind of, I don't know, maybe he was just realizing his ways, hopefully, towards the end, because he was so haggard, so disheveled, like, kind of had realized how deep he had gone into it. And, like, yeah, he probably was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my family for the decisions that I have made and how horrible they are. But I do believe that at the beginning, it was all about power and making sure that he came out on top at the end, regardless of who won. And then he came to not feel like he made a very good decision there at the end.
So, you know, when
life in prison now.
I know, seriously. No, he'll die. Yeah. I think they got like
70 years.
2 years or
life in prison.
Remember when Dacre was like, I need you to go give this letter to Iris because I want to recruit her to write for me because I didn't realize that she was such an influential person. Like, I really wanted her to come over, so go ahead and give this. And Roman was like, okay, I'll give this, but can I go see my family? I go see my family.
I'll go get it
and then he goes and he'd go visiting his dad, and his mom's like, oh, like, just homemaker, do you guys want some tea? This will be great. I was just like, girl, do you really have no clue? Like, do you really have no clue what's happening? Like, how oblivious are you to this? That kind of like just irked me just a little bit. I get why Nan was kind of like, she's old, you know, but really.
But I still think she had a better inkling as to what was going on than the freaking mom did. Like, the way Nan acted, she was just like, there's a lot of noise happening. Nan was still like,
you know, old people, we get not we. I'm not there yet. I will be. Some people get really grouchy. Me and one of the soccer moms were like, we already know what kind of old people we're going to be. We're going to be the ones complaining about the things, that things don't get done. But then when they get done, I'm like, why won't you just leave me alone? I don't really want this, but you should have been doing this. It's like whenever I go to a restaurant, I'm like, this guy is he's just seeing his tip go away. My water's empty, but I'm too afraid to be like, hey, can you get me some water? Because I don't want to talk to them. But fuck, pay attention and give me some water.
That was the rant of all
Veronica,
rants.
you are not Nan in this situation. All I'm saying is you're not as old as Nan. That was all I was saying. Oh my god. Ooh.
It's fine.
Coming back.
I'm not crying. It's fine.
I am crying. What the hell?
Oh my god.
Anyways, Nan is just one of those people who's lived in that house for too long, and she's like, get me out of here. These people are crazy. Things are making noise. The house is doing things for me. Yeah.
True.
Meanwhile, the mom's like, let me make you some tea.
You want some cookies?
Blissfully unaware.
In the meantime, all Roman's thinking about is, what time is it? Iris is going to be at that gate here in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But how dare he? How dare he? He should have cleared out those brambles. Those thorn bushes. I just think of a big old blackberry bush that she's like, Kayla, your face. You're like, Veronica's crazy right now.
I love how passionate
she's got to
you
climb
are.
a tree. She's got to go through the gate, and she's got to go through some
When
thorn
it took
bushes.
her a while.
It did take her a
because
while.
she's going through fucking thorns. I'm not going to just walk through and like have everything scratch me. No, he should have cleared that shit out.
Yeah, but when was his ass gonna do that?
What?
Oh, excuse me, Dacre. I need to go cut a hole into the fence out here, sir. Let me go out with my
I've got to clear out a path for my wife.
gardening shears here. What you doing out there, buddy? I'm just trimming some hedges. Never done this a day in
Taking
my
out
life.
my
'Cause I'm rich as
stress.
hell, but here we are.
I mean, he should have at least told her to bring one. Like,
That's
freaking-
Yeah.
He could have done that.
Yeah.
He could have done that. Or even just some scissors.
Well, I mean,
you know,
he kind
some
of
scissors
kind
even
of
would have
wanted-
helped.
Yeah. Trim that bush up a little bit. Gosh,
But
darn
also, more so than that, he had her ass come out in the middle of the night across town with the graveyard psychos running around with guns. That had me
But
more sketched out.
He didn't know about that until after he had met with her. Remember? He was like, oh,
He's like, I done fucked up.
there's what? There's people who are establishing, there's a curfew. Hope she makes it.
And then there's Iris that's just like, yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna do this anyway.
Let me climb up
Yeah,
this
she
window. Go through
Oh,
here.
You
That
guys,
is wild.
we also
I
need
do
to
love
remember
her.
they are 18 and 19. They limber.
know.
They're
Their shower
limber
scene?
still. Okay?
Their shower scene, yes. I was like, my ass could
That's
not.
awkward. I was like, this is awkward. I'm getting uncomfortable because I know the first time I took a shower with somebody, I was like, what the fuck? What are you supposed to do? Like, we're just bathing each other? This is weird.
Especially when he got on his knees and kissed her knee. I was like, that was a weird thing to picture.
No.
Well,
He's
well, no, because
showers
yes,
back in 1920? I'm gonna look
I
it up
mean,
now.
he's clearly
He had
had
one.
some sort of shower.
I'm gonna look it
But
up.
yeah, he would have had to literally be on his hands and knees to be down to her freaking
Yep.
knee. Like, not just knees,
Yep.
like on the ground. Hands
And don't be
knees
kissing the
to
fucking knee.
level.
If you're gonna be kissing something, there's a little button there.
Agreed.
yeah. That's where my mind went. I was like,
Agreed. I was like,
this is where you're kissing
yes,
my scraped up knees.
I know.
Don't kiss my knobbly
No,
knees.
sir. Come back up to your knees and kiss what's really important to me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
These closed door,
Yeah, no,
these
agreed.
closed door novels. Come on.
We don't know how to live that life, clearly.
No, are
Put
joining.
like a little pepper in
Are
that
joining,
shit, you
are
know?
coming
Just a little
together.
pepper. Our bodies
See
become one.
why I rated my jalapenos so low, Veronica?
To
Do you now concur with
one.
my
What
lack
was I
of
looking up?
jalapenos?
Oh, that's right.
If there's showers in
Did they-
1920.
That's right.
Did we establish this is in 1920 or are we just guessing?
No, it's in the 1920s.
Well, remember we did the math because of when Forrest was born or whatever. It's roughly 1920. 1920s shower. I love that.
Oh yeah, the 19s. I can't read. The 1920s saw the start of showers being used in homes throughout the USA. However, some rural homes didn't have indoor running water until 1950s and 1960s. Man, they were fucking rich if they already had a running shower and indoor plumbing.
Well, it was a glass shower too.
Well, and it was a magic house.
I know, with black and white tiles. Man, that was super fancy. My sepia was not computing in black and white.
I cannot. That whole thing. Well, and then just like how long she stayed for. I was like,
they
have been very risky.
I also had weird like movie in my mind of her like running across the lawn, like I wasn't picturing it still being dark out, like her like scooting down and then just sprinting across
her run of shame.
Yeah, her run of shame.
Yes. Well, and then I loved that Addie called her out, like, you're wearing the same clothes as yesterday, and like she just skipped over that, like completely, like, yeah. It was just like a subtle mention. I was like, Addie, you would. I love that.
I wish that she would have like turned around and been like, and I noticed Tobias is here. What do you want to say about that? Give it back to her, girl.
I know.
Give it back to her.
She definitely could have given more shit back.
I like Addie and Tobias. They're so cute.
I know. Well, and then even like one of my favorite moments with him was when they were in the cafe and like she told him like, "Hey, protect my family," and
the cars.
Pulled out his little race cars for all the kids, like as the bombs are going off to try and distract. I died. I fell in love with him a little bit in that scene. I was like,
I feel like that's something that your husband would do, though.
Yeah.
He would like just take the kids and try to distract them for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's why that scene got me so much, because I really could see my husband in that scene, like to a T. I was just like, okay, I'm fine. Just keep the kids distracted. It's fine.
Well, and then his mom looks over at him and like makes eye contact. And it's like, it's very sweet.
Well, and him even explaining like that's what he wanted to grab instead of like his trophies and his ribbons, like that's what he intentionally grabbed.
He was thinking of her.
Like went to grab his parents. I was just like, I know. I'm fine.
So sweet.
So sweet.
I like Prindle and Forrest's relationship was very sweet and like such a like
when
slow
she just came
burn.
to go check on him.
Yeah, just like a slow burn, sweet, innocent. Like a gradual relationship, the way that relationships kind of develop.
I know.
And then
she's gonna just cry again.
I know, but then like at the end when they died, I was like, and they're holding hands and
Veronica. No, their whole love story was just so subtle and sweet. Because like I was texting Veronica, I was like, truly, they were both just lonely. And like they found each other like haphazardly because Iris was gone. And like they continued to maintain that and like really looked out for each other until the very end. That whole scene where
from his perspective.
Because I think it even says like like he saw the bright light and he felt the boom in his chest, but he never let go of her hand. I was just like,
I know.
Okay. Like, he was just, like, with her to the very end. And, like, even when they... Sorry, Veronica. And, like, when, of course, Iris finds them, and he had literally wrapped his body around her, still holding her hand, which I was, like, trying to picture. But I was just like, he literally enveloped her to try and protect her, and I died.
Okay, but then...
I died that whole thing.
The part that got me choked up was when Roman was reading the newspaper and he reads his name and then has a flashback of Dell and like was feeling Dell's death, reading that because of her. That got me. I was like,
well, and then him like once again yanking out that IV, trying to break out of the
How did that doctor just throw another IV in him real fast like that?
That part. The nurses in us. I'm glad that you noticed that because she was like, and then put the IV back in my hand. And I was like, excuse me, what? Just like that?
That easy, huh? Well, and I just love that they were like, you're not leaving yet. And I was just like, damn, okay. You mean business. I don't know what weird threatening tone you carry.
Yeah, you're not leaving yet, but then 2 days later, then you get discharged. Like, what?
Because he knows...
He just had to play by their rules first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people, they just know how to like, oh, that doesn't hurt. That's great.
Yeah.
That doesn't hurt. I can breathe just fine.
His weight. Yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly what he did.
True.
To try and get out of there.
That's true.
I'm okay, you guys.
Are you okay?
But then the other thing that...
yeah.
Well, before you wrap it up, the other thing that got me was the letter that she found.
Yeah.
Like when he's cleaning out the apartment. Just like him explaining like how much Sarah had helped him. And that like he like... I mean, he had talked to her about already, like, he had went to the doctor, which that was such a big move for him. I loved that he did that. And he
finally went back.
You're hurting my soul. I know. And then he said how proud of her he was. Like, that killed my soul. Like, that wrecked me. Like, that he was like, you're so brave and I'm so proud of you. Like, I want to tell everyone that you're my sister. I was like,
no.
Okay. That was such a sweet moment. And then even when she freaking let go of his ashes on his little hill or whatever, that was sweet too. Like, literally everything to do with Forrest at the end, I died. Like, it was so sweet. Like, that, for me, carried so much more weight than that final scene. Yeah. Like, I'm just, like, or the final battle. Like, everything around the final battle held so much more weight for me than that actual battle. That's gonna be my pet peeve now, I think. I think that could have been better.
Yeah.
Because everything else was really good around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
You okay, Veronica?
I will be.
I was just like trying to crash through it so you could like
no, I appreciate it.
Did you?
But like I felt like it needed to be talked about because it was so good.
It did. Did you guys think there was any possibility that he was going to be alive?
I didn't think he died.
I mean, obviously, I had hoped, like truly, I had hoped he hadn't, just because, like, again, my heart felt for like trying to losing a sibling. I can't imagine. So I'd hoped, but the way, like, when I read it back again, because when I was writing part of this outline, I was like, they were pretty clear about it with the way they described it, with him seeing the light, the boom in his chest. Like, it was clearly right fucking there. But yes, a small part of me had hoped that was not the case.
Or at least that he saved Sarah.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. I know, but like, there was something, I don't know, there's something I love about like two lovers dying in an embrace that really like gets me in a different way. I think it would have been devastating for her to have been on her own. Yeah. That would have made me sad too. I don't know.
It just made me sad that like this was like he was the whole reason that this all started. Like he's the reason why Iris went out in the first place, was to try to save him. And ultimately, regardless of her killing Dacre, ending the war, she still couldn't save him.
She still lost him.
Which is so sad. In a way that she was not expecting.
Yes.
But at least he had Sarah in the end.
I know. Well, and like, he'd come a long way in this book. Like, I know we struggled with him still at the beginning, but he really came a long way. And I think a lot of that was due to Sarah and, you know, time, obviously. But
yeah,
I think a lot of it was to do with her, though, because he was finally talking.
I know he went to go see the doctor to try to take care of himself.
I know he was gonna go get a surgery. Like they really built that up before.
That's when they said that. I was like, uh-oh. I don't know if we're gonna survive.
Oh, with the surgery. Well, and then even like him reading that story for her to fall asleep, like should have been clear cut, like something bad was happening to him. It was too good of a moment.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it wasn't like Dal, because that's what I was worried about when like he had made that like grunt and she had to come out with the sword and kill him. I was just like, for the love of God, no! I will be so mad if he's dead right now. So I was glad it wasn't then.
But man, he got his face beat in.
I mean, he got messed up. I'm not denying that. But I'm glad that's not when he died. I appreciate the way she went about, the author went about killing him, at least. Like it held more weight, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Moment of silence for Forrest.
Think about what else we're missing.
And Sarah.
I know.
I'm okay.
It's okay if you're not okay. That one was a lot. I definitely think David was out mowing as I'm reading that, and I'm just like sobbing on the couch by myself. I was like, if he walks in right now, he's gonna be like, what happened?
Yeah, no, I was like, I am not gonna put any makeup on because my eyelids are so swollen. And I was like, there's no point. I'm just gonna go finish reading, do this podcast, and go
I'm gonna cry again anyway.
Yeah. And I did.
Oh my god.
It's fresh. It's still very fresh.
Well, yeah, we all just finished today.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were busy. When all of the Dacre sympathizers or whatever, all his troopers, his troopers, were lined up on the wall, and the firing squad was like aiming at them. And Iris goes, Brenny, did you think that she got shot? Do you think that? What did you think before we found out what happened? Like, what did you think happened?
I mean, they definitely kind of made you think it could have happened based off Roman's point of view. Thankfully, they didn't leave you in that moment for a long time. I feel like I read that real quick. I was like, is she good? Is she good? Is she good? Is she good? I feel like my eyes were just like,
yeah.
So, I mean, again, thankfully it was a brief moment of, oh shit, is she okay? But, and then again, it quickly described she's fine. But yeah, I was like, Homer be wild, guys. The amount of times this chick could have died.
That 18-year-old
and
brain.
She's just like, get myself in harm's way again. I know. She's like,
I don't have the fear.
Come at me, life.
I don't have the fear in me yet.
Surely
that will come.
Doesn't have any fear, I feel like.
That will come.
I thought, because again, the whole fantasy reader in me, I like took it way too far. I was like, she didn't die. She didn't die because she actually got Dacre's powers, and she's also a god now. That's what I was like, yes. And then I was like, oh, they just didn't shoot. So I was disappointed a little bit.
You were let down in that moment. Yes. I love that.
Well, because...
Well, and then she could have
healed powers from killing
Roman.
The other gods.
What did you both just say right then?
Yeah, but I think... it like picked up at the same... She said... that Imba got her powers from the other ones.
Yes.
But she was also a divine. I don't think when humans kill divines, they acquire their powers. But I said if she had acquired his powers, then it would have been nice because she could have like healed up Roman and
yes,
like fully healed him.
I do appreciate that aspect of that.
I also thought
because I do think like, yes, clearly he was to an okay point, but like, I would imagine his life will be shorter and he will forever struggle with his like.
Oh yeah, I was like,
it's just kind of sad to think
outlook's
that
not great here.
No, no,
and he's 19 and feeling like this.
So that part, Yeah, that part kind of bummed me out.
Mhm.
So it would have been nice if she had acquired his power and then was able to like heal him. That would have made me very happy, but
Just
sadly,
need a
no,
little
it's
bit
not
more
what I
fantasy,
wanted.
you guys.
Or like
Just
used
a
his
little
blood
bit
or
more.
something. She had that shit all over her.
Yes.
Just like go
all
rub it in
over.
his face or something.
We're not about rubbing
Lick
fluids
it
on
off
other
you.
people's faces, okay? Stop.
Lick it all. No.
Hold the
No,
head.
no.
The one part of Dacre's demise that was very vivid in my mind was when the ethereal started falling from the sky because of his death. And this the way that they died, I'm like, that's a description that I want.
Yeah.
Where like their bellies would burst from impact or their wings would just like tear apart. I'm like, yes. Yes, this is fantastic.
I was gonna say, even that was better than his death. I'm telling you. I just felt like his death was too anticlimactic.
Maybe she just didn't think he deserved a grand death. Like he deserved to just be like proned, chop that head off. Like you don't deserve any better than that. Nothing epic for you. But it made it hard with the story.
I still think it could have been described more epic. Yes, because everything else was more like that. Like it was more descriptive and
like Val's death. How she like held the sword right here and he fell onto it and then he just because he died, he started falling also and the sword just sliced him up and I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Yes. But that's what I'm saying. Like again, he didn't need an epic death. I just think I needed it described more epically. Like,
yes.
I don't know. It was
even
just,
if it had been like he was distracted by Enva and she came up and chopped his head from behind, like that would have been more epic than
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the fact he like took a nap and then she just cut his head off. And I was like,
I think they were trying to make more of the lullaby than anything because obviously Roman felt the lullaby when he was down there in the Traitors Quadrant or whatever they put him at.
Traitors Row.
Because then he fell asleep from a distance.
Yes.
But Dacre had a hard time falling asleep. And so maybe that's why they had him fall asleep, is to make the lullaby more.
I know, but then it still felt like that was too fast even the second time, because clearly he fought it the first time and like was leaping at her. And I was like, okay, so now you got distracted by Enva for... I'm not picturing... I think the problem is it didn't seem long enough.
It didn't.
That's what I think. I think if they would have just described it.
I think I needed it.
Like if she would have like got down, said something to him, gave him a little monologue, something, and then like slowly sliced his head off. You know what I mean? Like if they just would have
maybe like describe the panic that Addie had. Like, why isn't this working? Like, you know, like did we? But yes, they did say that. Did they get betrayed by Enva? Was it not really the right lullaby? But I just needed a little bit more.
Yeah. And the final actual moments of her cutting his head off. Like maybe it didn't have to come off just so cleanly. Like maybe it took a little more time. Yeah. She savored it a little
but
bit.
It's supposed to slice like
That's
butter.
what I'm saying. Maybe you should slice like
smooth
butter.
like butter.
Like a blunt, like a butter knife, but not through butter. You know? A little blunt.
Yes.
Like that.
That's a little sadistic.
Because that's what made, you know, the other death so epic, is the fact it did just slice.
Yeah.
That made that one so epic. So you can't have it both ways.
She could have just not sliced herself again this time, and then it would have been a regular sword rather than a magical sword.
Yeah, maybe she didn't realize she had just sliced her hand again.
What?
You know, and then like tried to, you know, I don't know. Either way, it needed more for me.
A little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more on that part.
So you guys, we end that like after everything's been done and everyone's been sentenced to their thing. We know that the Littles are sentenced to basically life in prison.
Yeah.
For
thank freaking God.
Yeah. Right? Just disgusting people. Disgusting people. 3 months later, Roman and Iris have their own little place. It's very small and cramped. It's just the two of them. She's working in her garden. He's locked up in his room because he's got to be resting all the time. But he's writing a story.
But he's also writing a novel. I love that.
Because isn't that what he wanted
Well,
to do? He didn't really want to be a paper writer.
Yeah.
Well, and then she was still working for the
Tribune,
ink-written Tribune. Like, so she was still working there because clearly that was a love of hers. But no, I loved the little scene where he's like flirting with her by writing letters while she's in the garden, and like he's like throwing letters down, and then she comes up and slips one in his pocket. Like, I just thought all of that was very cute. I love that they continue to write letters even, you know, after everything. It was very cute. Their little wholesome little, we're together now. Even again, wish she was healed more. I think that was my downfall to their happy ending. I'm glad they were happy in that moment, but again, I was just like, God, your lifespan.
That's
all I could think about.
What did you guys think of Helena when she was in the ink-written like building, sitting there smoking her cigarettes?
Titanic.
Like waiting for the bombs to come down.
100% Titanic.
Going down with the ship. I was like,
yep.
But
flips her what was she writing about? I want to know what she was writing, because it was the first time she wrote something in a long time, and she's just like clacking away as the bombs are going.
She needed her violin there, like the Titanic.
That's an excellent description. Yep, I love it. That's perfect description.
I thought we were going to find out what she had written. I was disappointed that we didn't. But also, can we talk about how much this woman smokes in a day?
Seriously.
The amount of cigarettes this woman went through was freaking insane. Every time she was talking about, I went through this many cigarettes. I went through a whole I was like,
yeah.
God damn, woman.
I mean, but that wasn't that uncommon back then.
Your lungs probably look like kits. No, it was more common back then, but I was still just, every time it was talked about, I was like, man, is that all you do is smoke?
Stress.
Yes. That was all
that tobacco.
Which,
nicotine.
Which she was, like,
yeah,
very stressed.
Yeah, but I thought that was a pretty cool
like,
scene.
Every time.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I did like that. When I liked that the building held.
Yeah. And that the Gazette was gone. Bye.
I did love that.
I loved that they had their cute little cottage, but part of me was sad because I feel like he's friends with his house. Granted, a lot of trauma there. Move on. And it's big and whatever, and that's not their vibe. But I feel like his magical house was kind of his friend. And so I was kind of sad that they weren't in their magical house together.
Where's the grandma? Where's Nan?
Also, probably still in the house.
Still in the West Wing.
I guess, since Dad was in jail.
Still in the West
Wing.
With what's his name watching out for her?
It's been 86 years.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I was kind of surprised by that also when they said they had gotten an apartment. I kind of picture them moving into his house. Like, again, definitely a lot of trauma there. Like, I get not wanting to move there, and quite frankly, you know, what young 18, 19-year-old wants to go move into your parents' house?
Yeah, but they don't live there no more.
His mom's probably still there.
I think Mom and Nan were still there, but
man,
I mean, the house was plenty big enough. I think it would have been fine. But I did find that interesting. I thought he would have moved in there also. Because I do. I felt like him and this house had a relationship, and
wait, okay.
I don't know.
Would you guys go for the apartment, or would you guys go for the house if you were in the situation?
If I had a buddy that was a magical house, I'd go for the buddy that's my magical house. That brings me warm milk when I'm sad.
I'm with you.
I was gonna say I did love the magical house, but I'm trying to picture like little 18-year-old me, like freshly married. I think I would have gone on my own. Like, and not that I have a great relationship with my parents. It's nothing even to do with that. I just think there's something about being on your own at that point, especially like newly married. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like at some point I'd be like, but eventually we're going to move into the house.
No, I don't even care if the house is my buddy. I just want a house that cleans.
In theory, he should inherit it one day.
I just want a self-cleaning house. Is that possible?
I feel that also.
I mean, that
for that also.
I would happily take that now. Truly, I would happily take that now. But my guess is he'd inherit the house one day.
Yeah, for sure.
I do think
after Mom and Nan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think at some, well, again, I don't know his lifespan, but I would think at some point in time they would move back into that house. It's just maybe not right.
I didn't think she was going to stay in Oath. I thought that they were going to go back to Avalon Bluff and like build a little house there and help it rebuild and live their little country life because they loved it.
Yeah.
I kept thinking she was going to tell him that she was pregnant.
Yeah, same. I was kind of happy
I kind of expected that
pregnancy trope.
I didn't want it to happen. Yeah, but I definitely thought that it was a possibility.
Same.
Not that they had a lot of sex or anything, but I mean, I don't think it was protected. And she's young. All right.
Well, on that note. And then we get the little Inva end also.
Oh, yeah.
Where she goes to the cafe during Dacre's
I know.
Day,
I was like, why did they give him a day?
I'm assuming that's what that was. I'm guessing it's when they beat him, like, is what the intention was behind that. But it did feel a little weird.
Or is it a day of the week?
No, but they had
It's
Mirror's
a day
Day.
Of the week.
I think it's a day of the
week. Because Mirror's Day.
Because there was 5 gods left, and so they used that. Like, that 5 was like a special number. That's why there were 5 keys to unlock all the doors. So I think it was like a day, like Dacre's one of the days of the week, because there was Mirror's Day.
Every Sunday, every Dacre's Day. Ooh, but that like...
Well, we had jumped ahead, and then I like that she was like pondering she'd be able to get out of Oath, like by going into the underworld finally.
Yeah,
I liked that she was like, maybe I could leave, and I was like, I hope that's a loophole. But I like that they didn't even say. They were just like, maybe.
Well, because she couldn't, she not go in there because Dacre would have found her if she went down there. Is that why?
I think initially that's why she couldn't. Well, and I think there was the key, so I don't even know if she could have gone.
Yeah, she didn't have a key.
That's right. She needed the key
because she said that they were just unlocked when she was down there before. He locked them,
so she could just go wherever
after the fact.
See, and then speaking of locks, you guys, I thought we were almost done. But speaking of locks, she said that she's like, oh yeah, he gave me like these places so I can go visit wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted. But really, it was a cage. And then she ran away from him, and then she made that vow to Alzane, who locked her up also. So I'm surprised she didn't get all vengeful goddess like and just start hating humans, period. And then, you know, because that's an even smaller cage. She was really stuck in just this little town instead of being able to wander wherever she wanted through like little magical doors.
Yeah, you're right.
No, I mean, I definitely think she could have been a much more like, not evil character, but like definitely could have had some thoughts towards humans. But that's why I said I think she was predominantly good. Like, she seemed to really care about Iris in like that encounter in the museum where she was like trying to help heal her and like tell her what was going on. I just didn't get the vibe that she had these ulterior motives. Like, it seemed pretty genuine in that interaction, and even though Iris doubted it a couple times after that, she kept being like, no, it didn't seem like that's what she was trying to do, like in that moment. So I don't think she was supposed to be an evil character, thankfully. But she definitely could have been.
V just wants her to be evil so she could be like, I read about something, she was evil.
I was like trying to make sense of her thought process. You know, like, how did she get mad at her husband who gave her an entire underworld to roam about? And then she
also like murdered people to get her to marry him, though. So like, kind of different, a little bit.
He's a jerk. But Alzane also murdered a bunch of gods.
That's true. Too. That is true.
You know, her siblings. All the skylings, God.
Skywards and underlings.
It's skywards and underlings.
Did you call them skylings?
You're like, whatever. Yeah.
Hey, once they got married, they could have been skylings.
They could have been. They could have been baby skylings.
Oh, thank God they didn't.
Or underwards.
Gross.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either. But also, I'm just glad they didn't have children.
Yeah.
We don't need to trap her in another different kind of cage. That would have been a whole nother
I'm kind of surprised
situation.
they didn't, though, if when like all the gods had dwindled so much and there were only them left, you'd think he would have been.
Well, and then we had found out if they had all died, then magic would have died. Like, that was an interesting thing to find out. And then that's what really, Iris was like, well, that can't happen. Like, she appreciated those little moments of magic. I mean, obviously the typewriter being a big one, but even just like the little things with the building, she was like, well, you can't get rid of magic. And I was like, oh, I love that. Like, that's why we're going to keep her going this whole time, is because we don't want magic to be rid of the world. I like that was sweet. And I really do hope she breaks out of Oath, because I can't imagine being immortal and stuck in one town.
Yeah.
But she's going to be lonely forever, you guys. Is she going to make friends?
I don't know. She seems to really still keep to herself. I am curious to see, like, I guess what her life would have been like.
She's just going to be singing those dead people into their graves.
But I think that brings her joy.
Yeah, I was going to say that seemed to really...
Like, that seems like what eats at her more than anything is the fact that there's all these people that had died during the war that she's not helping them pass.
That's so sad.
Yeah. I was going to say, because do you think that would be what she did? If she could break out of Oath, she'd like... I mean, obviously she wants to see more than that, but I wonder if that's what she would do initially, is like go and help all these people like cross over.
It sounded like it, yeah.
It's a very, very sweet motive for your life.
Yeah.
But you guys, she was so lonely also this whole time. Like, she didn't talk to anybody. She was in hiding, in plain sight. Did she really work in the museum? Was that her new job?
No.
Or was she just happened to be there?
I think that was just a moment that she was... Because then she like disappeared. I really don't think she worked there.
No. I think it's kind of like the cafe. She was just like showing up, you know?
I agree. I feel like it'd be lonely if she didn't have one, though. Find a job, bud. Except she never ages. It really like, God, what's that movie? The Blake Lively did something Adeline.
Oh, yeah.
Because she like never ages. She has to like move from city to city because she can only hold a job for so long before people are like, wow, ma'am, you look exactly the same forever.
Like the Cullen.
Kind of running into people. I
was like, that's so sad. Yeah. Like, that's so lonely.
It's like
like her daughter dies.
It's like the Cullens.
I know, but the Cullens at least had their family.
At least the Cullens had them.
I know. At least they had. That's true. At least they had each other.
And like, worst comes to worst, they can, you know, turn them into a vampire. I don't think she can turn a human into a divine.
A human?
A human.
A human.
Human.
She'd been watching too many puppy videos.
Yeah, woo.
I have been. It's a problem. I do say human too much. It's fine. I really talk for my dog more than I should. It's fine. I get lonely with me and the dog, so we have conversation. All right, that's it for today. We hope you enjoyed reading Ruthless Vows. We will be releasing the next podcast episode 2 weeks from today with a surprise announcement on May 10th. The book for the end of May is Bride, written by Allie Hazelwood. Also, if you like what you hear, then please share it with your friends. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all major streaming platforms. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye, book besties.
Bye.